Cinema Worms.
Discussing everything from Grima Wormtongue to the Shy Halib.
I'm Sabib.
And I'm Linz.
And this is Cinema Worms Podcast.
In The Good, the Bad and the Ugly, the skeleton found in Art Stanton's coffin is real. It was the skeleton of a Spanish actress who had expressed in her will the desire to continue acting even after her death. What you don't know is that there are other skeletons in the film too, and they're inside all of us. Today I'm going to be talking about The Karate Kid. Now, if you are of an age, you may remember the 1984 classic The Karate Kid, which features baby-faced Ralph Macchio as grouchy teen Daniel LaRusso, who goes on a journey of high-kicking self-improvement as a means, at least initially, of fending off bullies with the help of his elderly neighbour, Mr. Miyagi, one of cinema's most classic characters, played by Pat Morita. Now, The Karate Kid is actually a semi-autobiographical story based on the life of its screenwriter, Robert Mark Kamen, who decided to study martial arts after being beaten up by a gang of bullies himself after a world fair, which doesn't sound fair. I'm sorry for that pun. And of course the film had a lot of sequels, you know, The Karate Kid Part 2, Part 3, The Next Karate Kid, etc., etc. This Karate Kid, 2025, is the sixth in the franchise. It reboots some of what has come before, and it also builds on its legacy, as well as the TV show spin-off Cobra Kai. Directed by Jonathan Entwistle and written by Rob Lieber, we follow Lee, played by a very charming Ben Wang, who lives alone with his mother, who's played by Ming-Na Wen, who evidently went to the same school for stern parents that the actress playing Lauryn Hill's mother, Cheryl Lee Ralph, played in Sister Act 2. How dare you have dreams and want to have fun? Not even a hobby for you. Mm-hmm. So Lee attends a local martial arts school headed by his great uncle Han, who is played by Jackie Chan. And all Lee wants to do is continue going to the school. He wants to train, he wants to fight, but after a tragedy befell the family a year prior, his mother is adamantly against Lee fighting or training or just pretty much doing anything apart from going to school. And so to avoid his pursuit of this completely unsuitable hobby, she accepts a position in New York and moves them far away from Beijing. New York, where nobody ever fights, and Lee will be able to stay away from all forms of violence, says his mother, with a stunning lack of awareness about just everything ever. However, Lee's new friendship with Mia, who is played by Sadie Stanley of Disney fame, comes with problems and solutions in equal measure. Mia's ex Connor, who is essentially a couple of bullyish traits wrapped up in the most aggressive teenage package I have ever seen, is jealous of Lee's proximity to Mia. And Mia's dad, who's played by Joshua Jackson, and I could not even remember his name because every time I saw him I thought it's Joshua Jackson, who has frankly aged like the finest of wines. Maybe that was the reason I couldn't remember his character's name. Owes the head of Connor's gym some money, and he's doing his best to keep the family pizza parlor afloat. So Joshua Jackson's character used to be a decent boxer, and so he decides, after seeing Lee in action, in a scene that was just fantastic, but I won't spoil it for you here because it's worth going into blind. He decides that the kid can teach an old dog new tricks, and so they embark on what is essentially the first part of the plot. Saying any more would spoiler that, and I would not take it away from your viewing experience.
So, I have not seen this movie. I have not seen Karate Kid or Cobra Kai, but I want to see all of them. So it sounds like you came home and you were like, that's so good.
It was.
It sounds like it was
fun.
Triumphant.
It was. You know, I like, you know me, I love a classic underdog tale. It is my favourite of all the film kinds. And although he starts off the film being quite an accomplished fighter, there are things about the tragedy that befell their family that means that when it comes down to the wire, Lee has a problem with choking. He freezes when the moment really calls for him to step up and do something. And that's something that he finds really, really difficult to overcome. It doesn't seem like anyone put this kid in therapy, which they definitely should have done after something this awful happens. But it provides like a reason why he can't do certain things when the moment calls for it, which does get him into some trouble. I wish that there had been maybe a little bit more around that, but then again, this is one of your kind of classic blockbuster films. I don't think we're going into this expecting any kind of psychological drama and careful character study from a Karate Kid. On the other hand, it is super, super fun. And watching Ralph Macchio and Jackie Chan go toe-to-toe as they try to train Lee as two branches of the same tree of martial arts in order for him to kind of achieve the film's ultimate goal was pretty fun.
What did Jackie Chan bring to the film, you think?
Oh, so I mean, he was just a joy to watch. Every time he's on screen, he's kind of stealing like the scene. He's sort of just cheeky and charming, and he kind of gets away with just bullshitting his way through a lot of the stuff. Every time he wants something from another character, they're like, yeah, we absolutely can't do that. And he's like, yeah, but you will. I'll see you there. Ah, you will do the thing. Call me when you're ready. And he's just super fun to watch. He's having a good time with it, clearly. He's just beaming the whole time.
Awesome. I can't wait to see all of these. I think we're going to have to do a viewing party.
Well, it would be very nice to do a Karate Kid. I mean, there's, as I said, this is the 6th one, and then there's also Cobra Kai, so there's quite a lot there. I would like to do a Rocky as well. Oh, one thing that I did mention, there's not a lot about the soundtrack that I found particularly memorable, but it did amuse me that during one particular fight scene, I realized that I knew the song. And it took me a moment before I realised it was a different version of the theme from The Buccaneers, which we have been recently watching. And that was a real cognitive dissonance for me, because to see that, to hear that same song being played over contemporary New York while people are like high kicking each other into dumpsters, compared to the Buccaneers, which is, a group of young American women coming to England in like the late 1870s and shaking society up a bit. Quite a different take. I also don't like the song. It annoys me. So I was annoyed to see it here as well. I feel like I'm being chased by the song somehow. We don't need to, if you're in America or you're talking about Americans, we also don't need to have the words "the Americans" sung at us. It's too much.
Could you...
I absolutely will not sing this on the podcast. It is shallow, it is pedantic, it insists upon itself. So you don't have to listen to the song. In fact, I recommend that you don't. But I will say, please go and see The Karate Kid. It is a super fun time. Get your popcorn and have a cracking time. Today I'll also be talking about the new Peppa Pig film, Peppa Meets the Baby Cinema Experience. That is the full title. It is 66 minutes of my life that I will never get back, and it was weird as a single adult to go into the cinema and watch it like without other people knowing I was doing so ironically, or was I? It's hard to say. Peppa Meets the Baby Cinema Experience was directed by Gretchen Mallory, who has a varied filmography including the Teletubbies and My Little Pony, amongst much else. And the film Experience, quotes, is comprised of several Peppa Pig episodes, which are usually a few minutes long. This one is interspersed with musical numbers, which, okay, frankly, they go much harder than they have any right to, especially How Big Is the Baby Now, which has sort of echoes of 80s Kylie, and Like What You Like, which could rival any of our pop divas working in the industry today. Also, that is a motto that we could all stand to live by a little bit more. Because this is British and not American, they have small children doing what I can only describe as some of the worst choreography I have ever seen anyone do ever, and there has been no attempt to clean it up or do anything with it. The fact that it's slightly naff totally works for the fact that it's Peppa Pig. They're just kind of mincing around, they're having some fun with it. There is no there's no promise that this is going to be incredible, whereas I feel like if it was American it would be choreographed out of the back teeth. Everyone's just like having a bit of fun, no one's actually any good at anything. That's British, here we go. So the episodes begin with the very first one is the announcement of Mummy Pig's pregnancy, and it features a discussion of the various sizes of the baby, from grape going up to like lemon and various other fruits that they have in the house as it moves through the various stages of growth, with Daddy Pig helpfully reminding Mummy Pig several times that the baby will eventually reach the size of a watermelon, a fact that Mummy Pig understandably does not actually want to be reminded about at all. And we also get to see the family buy a new car, which will fit the whole family, and remodel their house in preparation for the baby's arrival. And then once the baby arrives, we get another full episode on naming it. And I have to say that I'm pretty sad that they went with Evie and they did not go with one of the earlier options, which was Baby Doorknob. Because that tickled me something chronic.
I love it.
So you didn't come with me during this. I wonder why you didn't want to sit through Peppa Pig at 11:40 in the morning.
Yeah. Other than work.
That's not a good enough reason to skip a Peppa Pig film.
Honestly, I might not have even had work at that time, but
You made work.
Yeah, I made sure I had work. Well, the thing is, I don't know if I like Peppa Pig or not. I think it was hard for you to understand. I don't know what Peppa Pig is.
What do you think Peppa Pig is?
So, you had shown me a clip once.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes. For anyone who's watching, if you've ever seen the Peppa Pig whistling episode where she savagely hangs up on one of her friends, it's one of the funniest things I've seen.
That was hilarious.
Yeah. And some of it is genuinely quite funny. Some of it is clearly like, we know that there are adults being forced to watch this, so we're going to put some funny things in for them as well. There were several moments of that in this, including a sex joke about a cauliflower that, of course, no child is going to get, but every adult was deeply amused by.
Yes, there are pigs, and they are in a family. And
your knowledge is vast and just like unparalleled. What can I say?
Yeah. And I'm assuming there's some sort of shenanigans going on. Perhaps the children are up to some shenanigans.
Everyone is constantly up to shenanigans, up to and including Daddy Pig. He's sometimes up to the worst shenanigans of all.
I see.
It is like your classic sort of mini episode show. What I do want to talk about on this podcast is one of the funniest things that has come about right before the film came into theaters, which is the private clinic controversy that the Peppa Pig family went through. Now, Mummy Pig, after announcing her pregnancy, presumably went through, I did not check the news, I don't know whether they actually paid attention to the average gestational period of a pig, and that's how they timed their pregnancy, or if they were like, sod it, we'll do what humans do. I don't know, I didn't care that much. But what I do know, because they were being talked about on the daytime TV shows, and I saw it while I was in a travel lodge in the morning and nearly spat my cereal halfway across the table, was Lorraine Kelly falling about in fits because her co-host was trying to explain that Mummy Pig, the pregnancy announcement was not a huge deal. However, Mummy Pig claimed to have given birth. Remember that Mummy Pig is fictional, and this birth is also fictional, in the same private clinic that Kate Middleton, who is a real person, actually gave birth to her real children in. And I believe it's something like £5,300 a night private clinic. And of course, the British public, they do not like that. They do not like ostentatiousness in certain respects. And there was a lot of questioning of the Pig family's apparently quote-unquote middle-class status, because what kind of middle-class family are not going on the NHS or going private at the Royals Clinic? And so Mummy Pig actually had to come out with a statement saying that they actually were concerned about the cost of living crisis, these fictional pigs. And I thought, well, firstly, we live in the stupidest timeline, but it is also one of the funniest things that I have seen that is absolutely not really news, but has been made into news because of this. But yeah, there was a lot of talk on social media, and I was like, do we remember? It is fictional. She never actually went there because she's not real. So she didn't give birth. She never actually paid this. I see why the writers of Peppa Pig were like, oh yeah, because little kids like royalty and they like Kate Middleton, right? She's a princess and this is all And I'm like, I fully believe they did not think about the economic and socioeconomic implications of potentially using a private clinic for this fictional birth. But it backfired so spectacularly.
Is it because they're capitalist pigs?
Oh, you know what? We didn't plan that, but that's pretty great. Well done. Have you been holding that in for a few minutes?
Yes.
Yes, excellent. There's nothing really to say about it. If you have children, you may have already seen this film. It's sort of worth like not nodding off for at least some of it if you're an adult. There were several funny moments. And I also want to shout out, because I didn't know, but because of these episodes, I tend to prep a little bit beforehand and kind of do some research about like who wrote it and what's happening. And I didn't know, but apparently a couple of years ago they introduced a lesbian polar bear couple so that there were members of the LGBTQI plus spectrum.
Excuse me.
Yes.
In this cartoon show,
Yes.
we are indoctrinating children into the rainbow agenda, and I love it.
I love it too. I'm sad that they're polar bears. That sort of suggests an endangered thing. I don't love that part, but let's get some sapphic representation up in here.
Yay,
So,
gay
hooray!
polar bears!
Hooray for Peppa Pig and some of. By the way, there's like a ton of families in this town, so yeah, don't worry too much about the indoctrination if you're worried. Okay, so go and see Peppa Pig, or don't. You probably won't, and even if you do, it's only 66 minutes. It's just an hour of your life.
We dare you.